My first time being feminized. So what I'm talking about when I say being feminized, I'm not talking about sexually or some kind of an erotic experience, but I mean my first time where, my wife basically got me completely dressed up as a woman. Okay, so I wasn't just wearing one of her outfits or something. I had a wig on and the makeup and the whole bit, and I was basically like this. Okay, I was fully dressed as a woman. And when I looked in the mirror, I saw a woman looking back at me. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. I mean, I had dressed and put on women's clothing for years, even back into my childhood, from like maybe the age of 7 on and into my marriage and things, I had secretly done it. So from the moment, talking about the experience where my wife, got me dressed up and everything, probably about a month before that, I'd come out to her, that I had cross-dressed sometimes, that this is something I wanted to explore more of. I had kind of an episode of really serious anxiety, and I was starting to explore, some of my feelings and things, and that was a part of it. So I wanted to explore that, and just be myself and everything, and lean into myself, and not be ashamed of who I was and these different things. So I was exploring that. So maybe a couple of days beforehand, we had gone to Walmart and bought some makeup. I didn't know what to buy. So she took me to Walmart and kind of showed me this is kind of how you do it, and showed me about the different tones of foundation. And I had a kind of a little bit of an idea of what I needed, but I didn't totally know. So she took me and she helped me to buy it. Okay, so we bought the foundation, some concealer, color corrector to cover my beard shadow with, lipsticks and eyeshadow and eyeliner, mascara, the whole everything. Okay. And so and I started experimenting on my own with it. Okay, just in the mirror, putting it on. I had ordered a wig online, and so I think like the afternoon before, like the day before, my wig came in the mail, and some breast forms. So that's why we did it that day. So I had my wig, I had my breasts, and okay, so now I'm like, I want to get dressed. And so she told me, it was the morning, I tell you what, I have to go to school because she was in college. I have a class in the afternoon, so I will get you dressed and put your makeup on and everything, and then you can just sit around the house and do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, great. So I got into my breast forms and into one of her bras. Most of her clothes all fit me. I put on this blue romper she had. A romper is kind of like a jumpsuit, but shorts and like short sleeves. So I put that on and sat on the edge of the tub. And she put the makeup on me. It probably took her about an hour, honestly. And honestly, I was kind of nervous doing it. I've said that before, that I was kind of nervous because it was like, what is she going to think of me? I was, not afraid that something bad was going to happen in the moment, but that later on she would be like, what did I do? That later on she'd regret it, regret doing that. That later on it would change her view of me. That now she wouldn't want to be married to me anymore or something. I was afraid she would see it, that maybe we had done some kind of an immoral thing or something. I didn't know. I was just afraid that later on there'd be regret, and that it would change the way she saw me. So, but that didn't happen. We went through it, and it was great. She's never expressed any of that, and it's been years now. So I sat there, and then we put the wig on me, and it was a really long wig, even longer than this one, honestly. But it was super cheap. But it was pretty. The hair itself was really pretty. It just didn't have a good hairline. So if you were looking at it, it was obvious I was wearing a wig. But still, it looked pretty, and I looked like a girl in it, and I loved it. So she combed my hair. She had the brush, and she brushed my hair and arranged it on me really pretty. And then I turned around, and I saw myself in the mirror. And you know what? As long as I live, I'll never forget that moment. It was the first time I had looked in the mirror and saw myself as a woman. I mean, and it was, I had definitely imagined that moment for years. Okay? I had imagined that for years. I had dreams of it even. But when I looked in the mirror and I was a woman looking back, it just blew my mind. You know, to be seeing myself there as a girl, and honestly to be liking what I saw, to be liking the girl that I'm looking at. And I don't mean like in a sexual way, like I was all turned on by myself. I don't mean that. But just I'm looking at myself and I like how I look. Because as a guy, honestly, I'm not a bad looking guy. But I can't say I've ever liked how I look. I've never looked in the mirror and been like, you are one heck of a good looking guy or something. I thought I looked okay, but yeah, I was never, thrilled about my look as a guy. Not in a dysphoria kind of a way, I just wasn't, But as a girl, I was like, wow, I look great, and I don't mean to sound prideful, but that's how I felt, like, wow, this is fantastic. Seeing myself looking pretty and feeling pretty, the feeling of myself, a lot of the feminine physical feelings, the feeling of wearing a bra, okay? And it wasn't my own breasts, so I didn't know the feeling of having breasts. I guess I still don't, but the feeling of having a bra filling out clothes, okay? The feeling of long hair, over my shoulders and things. The feeling of wearing lipstick and makeup on my face, it was a different feeling. The feeling of silky clothes against my body. The whole experience, all those feelings, all of them together. I mean, again, I'd worn women's clothes plenty of times, but I don't think I had never felt like I was a woman in those clothes. Okay, I felt like I was a guy in those clothes, but this time I felt like I'm a woman in these clothes. And it was it was probably the first time I felt like a woman. And it just felt fantastic. Seeing myself look like that, feeling that way, it was just such a wonderful experience. I just felt like finally, finally I'm here. I've finally done this. Something I had thought about my whole damn life. Now here I'm finally doing it. And my wife is supporting me do it. And she's helping me do it. It was just a dream come true, to put it lightly. And that definitely changed me. I mean, not that single moment, but it kind of definitely woke something up, and I wanted to dress more and more after that. I think right after that, actually, summer vacation started. So I got out of the house within a few months of that. I got out of my house as a woman, and then summer vacation happened. So my kids were home all summer. I didn't come out to them yet. I mean, so I kind of just dressed by myself at home that whole summer in my bedroom. And then after that, started getting out of the house a lot. And that was really great. But that first experience was just something I'll never forget. It was just absolutely wonderful.